Doug, would you call roll, please?
Mayor Drost,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rutledge,
Here.
Alderman Weaver,
Here.
Alderman Stanifer,
Here.
Alderman Cooper,
Here.
Alderman Jenkins.
Here.
Okay, we've got a quorum. Let's consider our consent items, which are the minutes from last meeting and our check register. I don't know if y'all noticed, you got a new set of minutes on the table. There was a duplication of an item. And so anyway, he just fixed that. They're the same other than that one was just deleted because it was a duplication.
I didn't have any questions on
Make a motion and I'll second it.
it. I make a motion that we accept the consent items.
I'll second that motion on the consent items 4 and 5.
We have a motion and a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have open forum. Okay, Mr. Justin Bush. Okay, do you want to speak when we get to our sign item? I think that would probably be the time to do that, don't y'all agree?
I agree.
Yeah, okay, and Mr. Sellers the same way, okay. And then we have Georgianne Wright.
Hi, Mayor.
Hey, how are you?
I just wanted to see,
Stand up so we can hear you.
I'm from the High Sol edition, and I would just like an update on any progress that we're having in High Sol. I want to say I appreciate all the work that's been done to help clean up that subdivision. Has there been any action, or is there being considered any action for the trailers that are inhabitable and for removal?
Nothing that is in the works right now. If there, we need to look at that ordinance carefully, because the ordinance, states, we speak to the high grass, that type of thing. Does that speak to the inhabitability of a building?
To some degree, and I have had conversations with the police chief about getting the ordinance out and going through it and seeing what we can start to do about cleaning up some of the things, just like all the trees they've cut down here on 3506 and just left there. There, if you look right behind that, there's an old blue trailer house with 4,000 little bitty trees growing up all the way around it, to start trying to process some of those things. And hopefully if we get a couple of them done, we'll get some of the others motivated again to try to get stuff done,
Okay,
okay?
okay.
Definitely haven't forgotten.
And if you don't mind, I think it would be good if you called our chief of police and would ask him about maybe if you have something in particular or whatever that you're thinking of.
No, it's
so
just a
he knows.
concern, you know,
Okay.
because I mean, not only is it, I think, a safety issue, you know, for our subdivision, it's just, it makes our subdivision look unattractive. And certainly, we do not want to be, known as another particular subdivision that, we can't have our property values, you know, need to be considered within that as well.
Mhm.
So, appreciate.
Okay, all right, thank you. Appreciate your comments. Okay, and we'll get to the other two that signed up under number 11. They are here to speak to us about some signage that we were going to consider. So anybody else would like to speak at this time? No? Okay, we need to, we had an ordinance that we put together in order, you have to have an ordinance to order at the election, our November 2018 election. So there was a copy that was not in our packets, it's on the desk. Did y'all get a copy of that, or did you see a copy of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that basically is to,
So we can have the election.
that's to have the election. But this isn't the right ordinance. This ordinance is for the, talking about the sales tax. And this is just an ordinance to say that we are allowing to have an election. So do y'all wish to, want to table that till you have an ordinance in your hand and we'll do it next month, or?
Will that give us time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I'll say,
You know, I'm trying to get all election stuff done for you ahead of time, so we'll look at that at next month, because I didn't realize that till I just looked at that.
I'll second
To table, who motioned that?
I
Motion by
table it.
Phil Rutledge and a second by Terry Cooper, all in favor to table? Motion carries. We'll put that on the next agenda. Last month, we talked about a Grant Works program, and so I put it on this one to consider and act upon. We did, I did contact Trey Davis with the Grant Works. Did y'all all get a copy of the questions and answers that were back and forth? Yeah, I think that answered some of the questions. I don't know where mine are. Anyway, y'all have any questions? Y'all want to go over any of that, or,
It was pretty straightforward about, to me, I mean, as
yeah,
far
I
as,
mean, it kind of basically spells out what all the person would have to do. There was concerns about them having to move out of their house for 6 months. If a trailer house was, a mobile home was, a candidate for the program, and yes, it was. Remember some of the other questions.
Chief Moore,
Yes,
you
sir.
said they did this in Berryville.
Yes, sir.
correct? How did it work there?
The ones that I remember, they moved in with relatives. You know, when they just come in and cleaned the side off and built the other ones. So,
Did they do any mobile homes?
no.
Because this basically says if there's a mobile home there, that's what they're gonna put back.
No, I read it, and I thought it said that they did not. It
That
said-
they usually did not, yeah,
Oh.
that they would
Yeah, we
rather
got that.
They
tear
said that
it
they
down.
take out a mobile home, they're gonna build they refer to it as stick-built homes.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And they said the cost was the same to build a stick-built as it was to build a mobile home, and they didn't want to do mobile homes, and so, and they also talked about the resale value of the stick-built home.
Right.
With the Superior, and made the neighborhood look better, so basically, if they pull out a mobile home, they're not putting in another.
Well, okay, what it says that mobile homes cannot be rehabbed and have to be replaced with either a unit or a stick-built home. So that to me says they could put another mobile home.
they could, but I think it went on
Yeah.
to say that it usually wasn't cost effective to put
Right,
in another
right,
unit.
yeah, it does,
And
okay,
so,
so,
you know,
I just didn't want to, no, I didn't know whether we wanted to say something about if they are gonna do it, we would like for them to require the stick-built.
The way I read it is they don't do it.
well, do y'all have any discussion on this?
Question from the floor.
What you wish to do?
Question.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Mayor, who is the grant program for? Is it for residents of Coffee City community?
It would be for a Coffee City resident, and it's based on a, income system. I don't remember the percentage, but they have to be under a certain percentage.
And they have to make application to the city?
Yes, have to make application, yeah.
And through the grant.
80% of the area median in family income, which is pretty low for Coffee City already, so.
Right.
I don't know, I kind of thought at first, I thought it would be a nice idea if somebody qualified for it, you know, it would be good for someone. We kind of discussed there, just some of the things that were questioned at last month's meeting was their income, their, property tax is gonna go up. Their,
Insurance will go up.
insurance on the house will go up. They've got to they have to stay in the house for 15 years after it's built, which I think is a long-term.
So only 5 years for stick-built. They rewarded it here.
They did, yeah, I was
5
gonna
years
say,
for
we.
stick-built, and 15 years for a mobile home. So, it does say that, you know, typically because it's such a well-built house, built to new energy standards, that their energy costs go down considerably to help offset the cost of the insurance and the, what else, something else?
It says
Tax-
somewhat offset.
Yeah.
I don't
The,
know how to read that, but that makes a difference.
they do say in the paperwork that they thoroughly go through everything with the person that's trying to qualify, so they understand everything that's gonna happen. They have to move out for 6 months and pay for their own housing, move all the stuff out of the house so they can tear it down. You know,
They have to store their property
and they have to
somewhere.
store it, and that's
It's up
all
to
at their
them.
cost. So we may not have anybody that qualifies or wants to qualify.
It's real stringent, it's very stringent.
And they would have to be a resident of that home. They
Yes.
could not use that grant for rental property.
No.
No,
Okay.
no, you have to reside in the home. And then, like I said, you have to reside in it afterwards for so
Chief,
long.
you got any idea how much paperwork was involved with this that the city staff had to take?
It was quite a bit. It was, each packet's probably, you know, almost an inch thick. But it's repetitious, you know, it's the same thing you said, you know, I agree to, you know.
We take the application, but it's Grant Works that actually does the processing of it. You know, we will be open for applicants to come in and say, I would like to try it out and see what I'm up against, you know.
Would it be first come, first served, or?
Yeah, that's what it said in the article.
Well, that's what I mean, if they had the stamina to go through this process and they qualify, they deserve it.
Anybody else got any opinion?
Yes, ma'am, you have the city of Berryville's information there. I believe.
I don't have Berry Bills in, on this
I
Grant Works
believe
program.
that- Yes, ma'am, I
Got it.
believe they actually had 5 units built. Okay, very nice units. Again, it was a year and a half process.
Right.
It was a year and a half process, but I believe they did have 5 units that are occupied today, so it does work, but you have to find people that are going to put up with all the paperwork and the displacement and all that.
And it is a lengthy process, like you say, and
It
it
is.
tells you how many months for this and how many months for that, and
Right.
it is like a year and a half
Yeah,
to 2
they're-
years before you ever get
They're
in.
nice little units. They're over there in front of that Lakeview Community Church, I think it's called, right there off of 4117, just
Oh,
before
okay.
the city hall, for you to see.
Yeah, well, Grant Works provided us with some
I saw one of
pictures
them in
different
Berryville, I saw the
ones.
thing that was knocked down, I watched them put the thing up, they're real sturdy structures.
But it was a long process for the families involved.
Says it takes 6 months they have to be actually moved out for 6 months, that's how long it takes to rebuild.
Up to, that's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Then it
So-
takes several months to even
Even
get
get
the
a
paper
paper.
qualified for it, you know, of course, and
It's
so.
a great deal for people that are in that deserving level who are trying to get going, but it's lengthy.
I think it's something that we should give people an opportunity to do.
Anyone that gets built is gonna upgrade the
Yes.
neighborhood, it's gonna make the neighborhood look better, it's gonna raise everybody's property values, there's really, like I said, if they make it through the process, who could say no?
Well, then, if y'all are kind of in consensus on that, or even if you're not, we need to, I need a motion if we would like to consider an act on this, unless y'all wish to discuss it any further.
Well, I make the motion that we go ahead with it.
Second,
All right, we have a motion to continue with the program, and a second, all in favor? It carries unanimously. All right, I hope we get some applicants, we will,
yeah,
I will-
if you wanna advertise or get the word out.
well, I will get in touch with this Trey Davis again and see what the process actually is, and we probably would need to, you know, put it in the newspaper and advertise, put it on our website, that sort of thing, and then get applicants to come in. Okay.
I have a feeling something might be said in the Frankston Citizen next week.
Okay, now we have consider and act upon the reappointment or non-appointment of Wesley Beard to the EDC board. Okay, I want to talk about this a little bit. Wesley is here tonight, which I asked him to come and be here because I wanted him to be here. At the last EDC meeting, which was in November, I did not go to the meeting, but I listened to the tape of the meeting. A lot of the stuff on the agenda, the majority of the meeting took place over a roof for a building that the EDC owns. I found the meeting was an hour and a half long, very little was accomplished after I listened to it. I was quite hot under the collar. I was disappointed at some language that was used. I was disappointed in the way the meeting was held. I was not real happy with it, and I actually texted Wesley. I asked him for his resignation. Wesley talked with me a little bit, said he really felt like he wanted to give his side of the story, and I told him that that would be fine, that's what we would do. I put together on the tape of the meeting, I transcribed it, and I gave a copy of the transcription and the tape to every council member about a week ago, so they would have time to listen to it. It's an hour and a half of stuff, and it took me more than an hour and a half to transcribe it, I can tell you that. At any rate, I gave that to them so they could kind of consider what they thought about how the meeting went. I would like to hear a little discussion about that. Also, in addition to that, I have talked to Mr. Beard a second time about telling him this was gonna be on the agenda tonight and just what I've said to y'all. And that I feel like we might be able to come to a better or different understanding than just asking for a resignation. One of the suggestions I'm going to make is that their EDC meetings be videotaped, just like this one is tonight. It's a public meeting, it needs to be videotaped. You keep yourself in check when you know it's gonna be out for the public to see. You don't sit up here and talk trash. And I think that would be very helpful. To video that, it seemed like there was something else I was gonna ask. Now, my Alzheimer's has set in. At any rate,
But it is time to do.
yes, and thank you. Not that
That's
that's what I was
exactly.
thinking, but, the council appoints EDC members. They elect their own officers, but we appoint the members. And, pardon?
Well, 2 years.
For 2 years, for a 2-year term. And as it happens, Mr. Beard's is up, his is actually past due, his is up. We have this month. Next month, we have Don Weaver, Jim Beggerly, Sandy Atterbury, and Larry Paxton to consider reappointments or non-appointments. The next month, we have a Cindy McClanahan, and then not until February 2019 do we have Donna Douglas to reconsider. There's 7 members on the board. So tonight, we need to consider Wesley's reappointment or non-appointment. I don't know whether y'all would like to hear Wesley speak first. If y'all would like to discuss, I'm happy to handle it any way y'all want to talk about it.
I would like to make a couple of comments.
Okay, you got the floor.
Just for everybody's notice, tonight's the first night that I've met Mr. Beard. I have heard his reputation around town has always been very good. I listened to the tape. I read all the paperwork. I was basically disappointed in it, as the mayor said, basically nothing got handled. There was no roof, there was no signage talked about, I mean, it was talked about, but it was just arguments. Basically, you made the comment on several occasions how good a businessman you were. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And I have no doubt about that. I'm not questioning that. What I'm questioning is the professionalism you showed during your discussion by calling one of our tenants. Now, his payments may not have been perfectly in line, but they're better than none at all, okay? You called him a used car salesman. something else, I don't even remember.
It was not a used car salesman, it was snake oil salesman.
Snake oil salesman, okay, bad enough, will you agree?
But that's why I'm here also to tell my side to where everybody in
And
the
that,
audience and y'all, because I'm
and
not.
you're gonna get that opportunity.
Right.
I have one question for you.
Uh-huh.
Are you adverse to apologizing to him for doing that?
I stepped outside in the presence of the fire chief here that evening, leaving this meeting. I'd like to involve him at this time. When I walked outside, what did I do, sir?
You went over and talked to Mr. Ryan Anthony and explained, one of the deals was you thought that he had gotten his bid, changed his bid when he saw the other ones.
And I apologize that it came to that,
And
that I
you-
lived in the community that wanted to do business with him, wanted to eat at his establishment. That night, not a week later, not under the instruction of you requesting me to apologize to him, I walked out this front door and stepped to where Mr. Anthony was and manning up and said, I'm sorry.
And I wasn't requesting you to do that. I was asking you if you would do that.
I would.
Out of your own goodness and
I did.
and because you thought, you agree it was unprofessional?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank
And
you.
he's told me that as much.
Okay,
as well.
thanks,
sir.
Anybody else have any comments?
Are we gonna get a roof?
Okay.
That's up to the EDC.
I
That's up to the EDC. But the
No,
reason,
sir.
let me tell you, the reason that I put this here is because we are, the EDC is their own entity, but the city is responsible for that EDC. And it really pisses me off, and put that in the paper, that nothing is getting done. And it's not all Wesley's fault, I'm not saying that, but I have decided it is time to start holding everyone accountable, So that's why we're doing this. I want you to know, I want everyone to know, I don't like bullying, I don't like people cussing, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's no place for that in public, you know, and I don't put up with that. And, it's like, I've told my employees, I don't put up with drama either, and they know that. I don't put up with any of their drama, because I'm not babysitting, you know, so I'm not gonna put up with bullying or anything else. And if something like this happens again, I will have no issue whatsoever.
Do you have any suggestions of what could improve to get some of these things done?
Can I stand up and speak and address y'all since I've
Yes.
never met? Thank you.
Mayor, is that-
Yeah.
Let me shut up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Wesley Beard. I've served on the EDC board for 2 years now, and in everything, you have to have good leadership. I'm not holding an office, I'm just a board member. I'm not president, I'm not vice president, I'm not secretary, I'm not treasurer, I'm just a board member. I live in the greater Coffee City area. I live in Diamond Head Bay behind Dollar General. I am very involved in the community. My business was featured last week in the Frankston Citizen by the Frankston Economic Development, recognized as the business by the Frankston Economic Development, and my business is based in Jacksonville, Texas. But that's the reputation I have built. This is not a paid position, just as it's not as these public servants so much take their time to be here this evening. I have never lost my cool as bad as that evening, because I've been a businessman for 45 years. I own numerous properties here in Coffee City. There's nobody that wants Coffee City to flourish or do better, but I'm not for illegal game rooms. That's where a lot of the problem started from. I'm not for security companies that bring their city vehicles from CUNY to an office rented by not Jetco, Jacksonville Economic Development, by the Greater Lake Palestine Shopping Center. What's happened with the board that I serve on is we have bad leadership. We had a past member that had his hand in the cookie jar at every turn, that has received thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from the EDC of Lake Palestine. Now, I think the mayor, correct me who introduced this, and I'm so happy, this is one of the most important things that's happened since I've been on the board. There needed to be checks and balances for us to answer to, like any other business. And I don't know who brought it about, but anything that we spend over $10,000 has to be approved by the city council. That is so important. I welcome it, because there was instances to where the money, it just burns holes in some of the members' pockets. I feel that some members on the board are living out a fantasy of running their business streams at the expense of your tax dollars and sales tax revenue and stuff that's here. And again, we've had people in as high up as the president receive thousands and thousands of dollars. The people did not, I didn't get to meet you till tonight, sir. I didn't get to meet you. I didn't get to meet you. I have met Mr. Weaver. He's our president of the EDC board.
Today.
Current president.
And so it's the first night that I've met all the other city council members. Before this incident happened, I shared with another board member that for the hours that were involved on the board, that I thought that, I said, it's really not something for me, but I can't afford to give it up. And so that's why I want to serve on the board, is because I don't have an agenda. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm looking at it like, it's like you're on the Frankston School Board and it's not good enough to send your kids, and you're a school board member, but your kids are enrolled in Brook Hill. Should you serve on the school board of the Frankston Independent School District? No. They want to paint me in that of just what they would put up and not put up. The Miss Douglas here is a board member, and Miss Sandy Atterbury is a board member. The first words out of the guy that wanted to give the roofing bid that night was, "If you want to get screwed," and I stopped it right there. And I said, "Please, you will not continue to stay in here. I'm one person and one vote."
And yet, there was other language in that same night.
It doesn't
that
make
you
it
didn't
right.
say a thing about.
Mr. Weaver, our president, said ass.
Okay, we're
But
gonna
she
call-
said she
okay.
wouldn't tolerate.
We're gonna have one person talk at a time, and we're gonna keep the.
Yes, there was other language, you're
Wesley,
correct.
I'm speaking now. We're gonna keep things orderly, and one person's gonna speak at a time.
Okay.
That was the other thing, that now that my Alzheimer's triggered again, not only to video it, but to stop the over-talking. There is so much over-talking
Yes, ma'am.
at y'all's meetings that the person who has to transcribe it can't get it down, because there's too much over-talking. Not necessarily over-talking each other, but while you're talking, me and him are over here talking, and then it messes up the recorder. So that needs to stop. I want you to kind of stay on point, say the reason why you want to stay on the EDC board, and I don't want to hear you criticize anybody else. We're not here for criticizing anybody else. I don't want to do that.
It's not
And
criticizing.
you have one vote at the EDC, you've got one vote, as everybody else has one vote.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying that.
So that's the key point, as the mayor just pointed out. I'm just one vote. I'm just one vote. And, but I do feel that I'm a steward for the people. I live here, I've invested here. I haven't met, like I said, I like Ms. Drost. I consider her a friend. She attended one of my auctions, you know. I mean, we're
We
gonna
are
walk out here, it's a
friends.
business decision, but
We are friends.
when I believe in something, I fight. And they asked for my resignation. We have not had a meeting, this is uncoincidental because we never did this before. We've not had a meeting since November, December, January, February, March. And that's because this underlying issue. I think the reason we haven't had a meeting is to face this. You know, I may not get voted. These are the people that are going to decide my fate. But I'm not a quitter. And if calling somebody a snake oil salesman is a reason for me not to be on this board at looking at how our money is spent from the EDC, then I don't want to be on the board. If that's the reason for calling, the way I acted that one night at that one meeting, before I knew any of this was going to blow up, and before I knew Ms. Drost was going to ask for my resignation, that I had already walked out and apologized to Mr. Anthony. And this all started, can I talk about the roofing deal to where it's went south? I went back and listened to y'all's 5 last meetings, and you brought up a very good point at the last meeting. You said, what's happening with our pizza business? We have a tenant in one of our units that has rented the building but has not moved forward. And they strongly wanted him to have the roof bid. But that's the gentleman that gave us that presentation, and they leaned towards that roof bid because the other people like Cable's Roofing, very reputable. How many of you have heard of Cable's Roofing? Raise your hand.
Wesley, I don't like where you're going with this. This is not for anybody here to decide on the roofing. That was
It's
up
for
to
them
the
to
EDC
understand
board.
that what happened.
Well, here's the people that need to understand what happened.
And
they
we've all
listen to
all
the
listened
tape.
to
They
it,
listen
so
to
we
the tape.
understand
I
exactly
don't wanna
what
play
happened.
this over
But
and
did
over.
you know how many times we discussed the roof prior to tonight?
Yes.
It was on the tape.
It's-
No,
it's-
previous meetings, months, it's
It's
been
been
months.
on the agenda for over a year.
Because the only person I've ever seen at the EDC meeting was Mayor Trost, so I
It's
didn't know what you were
I've
aware
been
of.
there, you weren't there the night I was
Right.
there, a couple of nights. when
It's
she
been
was-
over a year since that roof has been discussed, and you know, it takes a matter of a phone call, the lowest bid, the best bid, whatever, and put the roof on and move on with business.
But
And-
that's not
and
what we did.
Tell me about it, you know.
We even let him redo his bid.
You know why you let him redo his bid?
I
Because
didn't.
his bid was originally passed out to everybody else
To look at.
to look at.
Not by me.
So, well, no, not by you, but it was done.
I
I'm not
didn't.
saying you did it, I'm not saying that. But Wesley, the reason that I had asked for your resignation was I felt like you were very emotional and you did misspeak and whatever.
And I
But
acknowledge
under-
that.
But I do understand that you are a human being. I can see where you know, have your opinion and your,
And my
What you
opinion's
want,
not always
and I'm
right. We
okay
all
with
have
that.
individual opinions, you know. We
And
don't
I-
all have to see it the same way.
and I'm happy that there are differences of opinions. I think that's necessary. We don't always necessarily agree.
No,
Yeah, we don't always agree. We don't always agree, you know.
but there is definite problems, whether I stay on the board or not, and the city council needs to be aware. We have a very non-functioning EDC, as you mentioned.
Okay, can I let
That's
you
good.
say, if we need to call you back up?
Yep,
we'll
that'll
call
be
back
good.
up. Would that be fine? Okay, because I don't want this to drag on all night. Do you have any comments to make, one way or the other, or? No? How about you?
I listened to the tape, I read the transcript. In my terms, it was a dysfunctional meeting. And it wasn't just Wesley, the whole crew was dysfunctional. That raises issues for me. There are leadership problems with that committee. And I hope Don can address those.
Gary, you have anything to say? Dawn, would you like to speak and say something?
Well, since the roof was the subject, being that we're a government thing, we have to take bids. You know, it's always low bid takes it. And we did vote on Wesley's choice and it was voted down. And it's like, I'll use the road as an example. When I was on the road committee and we had all the bids come in and the person that built the roads in Hinesall was Fred's Tractor. Well, anybody heard Fred's Tractor? No. But they met the specifications and they were low bid, and so that's the way it went. And there was a lot of conflict on that, so I personally invited every one of the bidders that bid on it. I, myself, individually, invited every one of them and the representative to come and rebid the particular project, because I thought that would be the best way to handle it, because we are a government organization, so I invited them all, and the only person that showed up was, he was the low bid, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rutledge, you have any more comments? I'm asking Mr. Rutledge right
No. I might want to say, can't say something nice, don't say nothing.
now. Mama taught you right. Yes, Ms. Wright.
My concern would be just listening to this. I would like clarification on, because what I heard kind of perks my ears up, is conflicts of interest. Okay, bids being let when there could be potential conflicts of interest. And, you know, what are our procedures? What is the EDC's procedures for letting the bids? Yes, there should be a straight and strict and standardized procedure.
There is.
And to where, and anybody that has the potential, even the potential of a conflict of interest should be disqualified. So if it's a tenant build, you know, a tenant bidding on a roof job, I think right there, that is a conflict of interest, shouldn't be even entertained. That's my comment, and I'd like clarification. Is that happening on our EDC board?
I can't comment to that tonight, I don't know.
Well, I would-
I would like to say that there is a bidding process that is done. just because someone, like maybe you're renting a home to someone and they are in the roofing business and you wanna have the roof fixed on your rental building, this guy's probably gonna put in a bid to you for it, as will Cables, as will Anthony's, as will so-and-so and so-and-so, and then you're gonna pick from that. But you're not gonna think that this guy that's your renter, just because he's a roofer, is not a reliable business roofer. And that's the case with this. The man that rents the building is in the roofing business as well. And so his bid is legitimate, and I don't know where that would be a conflict of interest.
He bid on the roof, but let me say this, he bid on the roof before he was a tenant. When I showed him, I was promoting the building, I go, oh yes, we keep our buildings up, you know, it's our responsibility to maintain the building, that's part of the rent. And I said, one of the things we have coming up is a roofing project. I want to bid on the roof. The man was not a tenant at the time, he asked to bid on the roof, and this was in front of fire chief, am I telling the truth?
Oh, yes.
So he wasn't a tenant at the time.
He got up there and did the hail damage inspection too.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you take sealed bids and say, these are when the bids need to be in, and it's done then, and so therefore?
That was the whole purpose of the
you-
last one, that was the whole purpose of the last one.
They're not
review them all
sealed
at once,
bids,
and
they're
then
not
nobody-
sealed bids per se, but the bids come in and they're given to
They
the
were presented at the
secretary
last
or
meeting, they all presented at
whoever's
the
here.
meeting, no one had
I'm
seen
in the
it.
insurance business. If I want to bid on government work, I have to send them a sealed bid. No changes, and nobody gets to look at it until it's all reviewed by the municipality. That's the way it should be. It should be all sealed bids for anything.
Okay.
I don't like sealed bids as an insurance agent, but if I want a municipality, I have to do it.
By the way, the city council does have to approve everything they do
Right.
from what, if they pick somebody, it has to come back to the city council to review and say, okay. Okay?
So the
And-
city
and
has
it's less
final.
than- it's not
Yes,
$10,000.
final.
And just for future, Ms. Wright, I'll speak to you that if you want to know anything about conflicts of interest or any such goings on or whatever, submit an open records request for anything that you want, anything. If, you know, you wanna see something, whatever, we're open books. So
Well,
anything you
I don't
wanna
doubt
see
that.
or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, put an open records request, and we'll be happy to provide any information we have. Yes, sir.
Mr. Beard made some, made some serious accusations about some people here putting money in their pocket, but he didn't name any names. I think I'd like to know who these, no, I think you should name some names, because I want, not them, you made some I wanna know who these people are that are putting money in their
Okay,
pocket.
okay, Mr. Gonzalez, I'm not going to put him in that position to do that. That can be done at another meeting or
Okay.
whatever. We can have a meeting for that, but I'm not gonna put him in this public position to do
Okay,
that.
I mean, he made those statements, so I'm just curious.
I'll be glad.
I mean,
Yeah, well, let's hold off on that till, if somebody has an issue with somebody having a conflict of interest, we'll bring it forward in a form of a complaint, in a written complaint, or ask for open information or whatever, and then we will handle it. We're not gonna do it in this little open forum session.
And the matter's already been handled.
Okay, then,
The matter has already been handled within the government that needed to take care of it.
excellent. Okay, y'all feel like we've discussed this enough and how you would like to handle it?
I think we did.
So I need a motion to reappoint or not to appoint Wesley Beard to the EDC board for a 2-year term.
I'll make the motion. Reappoint.
Okay, we have an appointment, a motion to reappoint. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Riley, a second by Mr. Cooper. All in favor? All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you for not making me have to. Okay, all right.
We have made this vote with the understanding that EDC will be taken for our review if we so choose.
can I just order that and make them do that?
Yes.
Or do I have to, you know, what do I have to do to get
Yes,
that
you
done?
can do that. You are the mayor.
I'll talk to
Make
the
it
president
so.
about it, make it, we'll get that going.
Call them out, I'm pretty sure that's no
Okay.
problem.
All right, thank you for your help. Thank you, Mr. Beard, appreciate you commenting.
Can I take 2 seconds to thank y'all, to apologize? There's nothing, you know, there's a lot of times in marriages or business relationships, you can never be man enough to say, I'm sorry. You know, I might not have handled that situation the best. I work better as I do daily to conduct myself the best way I can in business. I strive daily to do that, and it was a mistake. But in my 28 years, it's, the way I handled it was the only mistake. But I thank you for the opportunity.
I'd like to explain one reason why I said no. Just so you understand, what I heard on the tape was a bully. Was a bully. She's talking about talking over people. They would be trying to talk and you would interrupt them and not let them finish. So, I'm just being honest with you, that's, yeah, be
Okay.
happy to shake your hand when we're done.
All right, thanks.
Okay, well, congratulations, you're back on the board, or will
Thank you.
continue to be on the board, and we will move on now with the rest of our business tonight. Number 10, we're going to consider and act upon sending Lorena Gonzalez to the next available continuing education class for a court clerk. And this, of course, would be paid from the municipal account. There is not a class that's actually scheduled in the near future, but when one comes up, and just for the sake of me not having to remember to get it on an agenda, I would just like y'all's approval that when a class comes up, that we can send her to it, and that the city municipal court would pay
Where
for
these
it.
normally take place?
Where?
Yeah.
All over, San Antonio, Austin, I don't know, different places.
I have a motion that we send.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Cooper and a second by, let's say, Mr. Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Now we're going to consider and act upon, we're gonna look at some signage, some signs.
Can I hold in?
stuff.
Are you good?
And I'm gonna let the fire chief kind of present this if he doesn't mind.
If it works.
Do we need to turn the lights out or anything? Oh, this.
I don't
No, no, they don't come back on.
Never mind.
It's got to connect up here real quick. And I should have had it going the whole time. Could have blinded the mayor the whole time on the meeting. But, okay, we had a laptop, but there was some laptop catastrophe today. So, we'll see if it works.
Yeah, this signage is being considered by the EDC, is that correct?
No, it's not.
I know it's open license.
No, it is not.
No, it is not. What I have on the agenda for this evening is for us to consider and act upon approving the EDC to expend funds. If
It's
it will
Wesley's
come
project.
before the EDC, I want us to be able to say, hey, we've got some signage we want you to look at, would you spend funds? And we're pre-approving it basically, rather than them saying, we've got a sign, would y'all pay for it, you know? Can we have your approval to pay for it?
We got 4 bids, but these will just give you some general ideas. We're not gonna mention any bidders' names or anything else. This was one idea that came up for the community center. It's basically just a standard
The poles,
pole. That's about 5 foot off the ground there. 4.5 foot. We have some problems with a little bit of a knoll. It's a grassy knoll out there. For those who remember the grassy
It's
knoll.
double-sided, Chris.
Community center would not be. Community center is one-sided because that's all you see on the road.
And are those letters up there ones you put up yourself? Or-
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that blow off and we take down the road and get with the lawnmower.
Great sales presentation.
There's, yeah. I kinda got off the reservation, but we have signs coming into the city. And we just have them go ahead and do that. Ma'am?
Move.
Mr. Beard we haven't had a chance to talk. He was out enjoying business in foreign countries or whatever. But what this is we come up with about 3 or 4 different designs. This is a community, the shopping center. And as you can tell, the 3 foot, those would be static, basically 12 foot wide. We're basically set up for 3 businesses there. We could have 4, but we're basically set up for 3. Now that deal below it there is a LED. They've brought a sample outside. As you can see, that's only 19 inches, which is really only gonna give you about an 18-inch letter. And we've, 18-inch letters. The maximum viewing it is about 900 feet. I've got their deals here. At a speed of 30 miles an hour, you see it for 21 seconds. At 55, which is what our speed limit is out there, is 10 seconds. Now, we've always tried to do apples to oranges. How did that get in there? This one here is a little bit closer to the one that's outside, and I hope all y'all got a chance to look at it coming in. The thing about this is the people here will show you, you really don't see it up here. You need to back off, you know, at least, 60 feet. Anyway, this here would be 3 static signs on top for each business. And then, of course, the full LED. We've got bids on 16 and 19 millimeter spacing. Of course,
Just both sides?
yes, and this is both sides. This can be, if we're on the beach in Belize, we can change it. We don't have to be sitting right here. And the city secretary can change it from here. However, burn ban comes up, but that's a good LED. I'm sure y'all seen it outside, where it's got the little movie, shows like a car showing. Now that's the deal. I'm not really going to go into prices, but this is another company's vision. I don't know if I can blow it up a little bit. Now, all these signs are 14 foot to the bottom. And what they did is they superimposed that over, they went out there and took a picture. Superimposed that. Those there, it's a multicolor sign. Multicolored, but that's not really the quality. I'm not knocking them. It's not the same quality as the bids that we have out here, where you can have actually movies or pictures or bunny rabbits or nativity scenes or whatever you could see. And then of course the EDC could, run their deals, H&R Block, it's business time, Donna Douglas, properties, beers, auctions, you could flash them for 10 seconds or so. The epiphany I had, and this is where I got off the reservation again, it's just a little bit more. But I'd like to show you all this gentleman right here. This is where our community center is. And if we do this is some high-tech stuff right here, buddy. Right there, I wonder if that'll stay with it. Hey, it does. Should have worn my glasses. Right there is 14 foot. And I know we've really tried to push the community center for, conventions and quinceañeras and dinners and family reunions and everything else. This is a very cloudy, musky, ugly day. And you can see over that hill, and with my bad eyes that day, I could see the yellow sign at the end of the road. I couldn't see the arrows on it, but I could see the yellow sign. And that would be mine if we could put the same style sign as maybe this at the community center. Because you're going to reach everybody you're trying to reach and everybody that you don't reach on 155. Is there any other questions or problems?
Chief,
Sir?
just to be clear there, on any of the signs where you have the American flag there, that part is CRT, movable, motion stuff.
Yes, sir.
Any place where you have a white blank is a place for a static, ad to go up, right?
Yes, sir, it would be static such as this here.
Okay, and then on the earlier signs that you had there, what you had there,
Like that one.
those right there were the gas station stick-up plastic letters.
That would have been
Those right there?
this one right
That
here.
right there? Okay.
This one here would be at the community center. This one here would be, I would feel would be at the business center. It's double-sided, LED's double-sided.
And that bottom section of 19 inches, that's a CRT.
That's a, well, what are y'all calling that?
It's motion.
Yeah,
LED.
just motion. You can
Okay.
put little bunny wraps, and I'm telling you, at 18 inches, you're not
Is that
gonna
all
see it.
lit?
Yes, that's
Both
all
sides?
lit.
It's
Now, they
all-
do everything except the electrical hookup. You know, we gotta get the electric side. They'll hook it up at the bottom of the pole. We just gotta get the electricity there.
It was where the flag is there, is that changeable?
Yes, you could roll,
From
you could
a
scroll
remote
it
area, or do you have to hook up to the side?
anywhere.
Everything is scrollable, programmable through, basically from the computer in here.
Yes, sir, or from a cell phone, pretty much.
You go through the email site or whatever, but you can do it there.
And I'll have to submit to the experts. But this one here, we've gotten both designs. This here just gives us a bigger, your 3 static signs. You may only have 2 businesses in there, but that's kind of like it would look like.
Okay.
But now that sign is not a big LED sign, but that proposal was submitted. Now, we have some of these letters, these signs that have been posted, and it's like just red on black. One second. That doesn't move, that doesn't flow, that doesn't do nothing. It's kind of like the old gas station sign, $9.99. That's it, $9.99. Yes, ma'am.
On the message board side, is there an opportunity for Coffee City to have revenue from advertising?
Now, that's above me. That's what, as we used to say in the military, it's above my pay grade. But what I foresee, or I think that it is the EDC, or they already collect money from the businesses. So therefore, this shouldn't, I don't believe it would cost them anything. They would just have to submit what they want on the sign, and they would address that. They're already collecting stuff from the EDC, you know.
Could be potential for revenue.
That would be up to them. But I mean, all of our local businesses and stuff that contribute into the EDC now, I wouldn't think that they would. I think this would be part of their EDC package. You're trying to help out the whole community.
Yeah, the EDC's purpose is to advertise and make our city grow. And so if they're advertising for our businesses or something, that's their purpose. Yeah, they probably could make some money at it, but like you say you advertise the dollar store and the Family Dollar, they're already paying they're not paying the sales tax, we are all paying
Well,
the sales tax.
my comment was, I can see it in our EDC building, okay, that we're giving them their signage. But if they want to advertise in addition to, like a special service, like H&R Block would come up and say, hey, we're offering whatever discount, then I think that's should be a business expense to the company itself, because that piece right there is promoting their business services and drawing
I
clientele.
will send you to the EDC meeting. Y'all hash that out.
Is there anything else y'all need from me?
All good.
Any more questions y'all need from me?
Oh, you got your baby up there.
I appreciate y'all's patience and y'all's time. Now, y'all need to film while y'all are
This is
talking.
Raylan, by the way,
This is my purpose
This is
right here.
Otah.
Do you need, I'm trying to get off of it, I promise you. Do y'all need anything on this to explain what y'all, you had postponed
Our
them to
purpose
this
is to
time?
do what?
Okay, would y'all like to, well, what I want to do is to present some of this information to the EDC to consider for signage. We need some prices.
I'm
We
starting
need
to
some
think
We've got 4
prices.
quotes.
And so, So we can say, EDC, consider these, and we would like you to spend up to, but no further than
Okay, what's
X
the most
number of
expensive fan
dollars,
we
you
saw?
know.
Just tell you the price without showing you,
Yeah.
70, but most of them are under 60.
Yes, sir.
Pam, can I just make one thing? At the last EDC meeting, because I'd like it off, you know, and I appreciate the work that y'all have all been done. I was delegated this responsibility at the last EDC. Then when they asked for my resignation, I didn't do this, they did this. So it's gonna be in the minutes that I was supposed to do this. So I hadn't dropped the ball. I didn't know I was back on board until tonight. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate your work, Mayor Drost, on
Well, the reason this whole kind of came about was I was wanting some sort of sign for our community center. The EDC was talking more about a sign for the business center out there, and so we're kind of working on two different projects here. And so I got the fire chief involved for maybe a signage for our community center. But because the EDC promotes our community center, we're asking y'all to pay for it. You know, so.
I'm a big fan of the community center.
Yeah, we all are. So, anyway, but we need some prices or whatever to kind of say,
We've had the smaller signs, I would say the highest is 6,000. I don't want to give anything away.
The one with the letters that you have to stick on there?
oh, do you not want to give bids out right now? The
I
price,
can-
they're not bids, I guess they're quotes. or
Yeah, they're
whatever,
quotes.
but-
When you're looking at these, I think if some companies, this one here, I think is probably around
I
a
mean,
sign
we're not
tops us.
really buying a service or something, we're buying a product, so I don't think we
This is,
have to
this,
bid.
these signs like this are around 32 and down. And this sign here. This sign here, if you do 16 millimeter or 19 millimeter, you range on this one here between, I would say, this particular sign here was been invoiced at, or quoted at like 56 and 52, I think. I didn't bring that, actually, I do have it with me.
Well, I'd like, Fire Chief, when you're done there, I would like to get Mr., sorry, forgot your name.
Wesley?
No. Gentleman with the sign.
Yeah, Mr. Bush. and
Sellers.
Sellers.
Okay, so if you go with 19 millimeter or 16 millimeter, and what I've done is I've got a little picture, if y'all want to look at this. This is 19 millimeter, as you can see, it's a little pixelated. This is 16 millimeter, and of course, the further you get away, the Trump don't have enough money for this 10 millimeter. It's just passed, smoothed out. And that's based at 60 foot. A sign like this with 19 millimeter, which is what they're talking about is the spacing between the LEDs. It's closer to spacing, like 16 gives you a better, they're closer together, it gives you a better picture. So 19 would be around 60, and 16 would be around 56. And the one they have outside tonight is a 16.
Ended now.
Would y'all like to, you can say something, please? Please, stand up, come forward, whatever you're comfortable with.
Well, I'm Peter of Sign Masters in Tyler. So thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening, and the opportunity to bid this project. We're a local company. We've got about 10 employees. We've been in business for about 13 years. And we're part of a network of about 330 stores nationwide. The product that I like to sell when it comes to the electronic message centers is Daktronics, who Justin represent. Our company's service all the other products out there too. But the reason I sell just his product is because in 10 years that I've been putting them up, I've probably had 2 service calls on 2 of them. We work on the others constantly, and they offer the best warranties. Justin could maybe tell you a little more about Dictronics. It's a US company, everything's manufactured in the USA, they're based out of South Dakota. It's almost $1 billion company. They're about 3 times as big as their closest competitor. So I absolutely believe in the product. And I don't know if you want to say something, Justin.
Yeah, so, like Peter said, we've been in business since 1968. We are publicly traded on NASDAQ. We do business worldwide. I've been with the company for 15 years, been in Texas for 10 of those years, and have had a long-lasting relationship with Peter for 10 of those years as well. We work East Texas market. I'm out of Dallas. We design, manufacture all of our product in Brookings, South Dakota. And, going by the different pictures y'all have seen on here, obviously there are price differences. Most of that price difference is made up of the square footage that you would be buying. So we can do a 2-line text display like that for far less than we could do a 5x10 full color unit. So, and we offer every size under the book. We're in foot increments, and we offer 2,000 different sizes. So, if there are any questions on product or the software that comes with it, I can show you out front. With demos.
Personally, I think we're a little early for that. It will go through the EDC. All we're trying to do is get ahead of it a little bit so they know they've got some funds to work with. As we've said before, everything has to be approved out here, but sometimes it's kind of tedious for them to have a meeting and then have to wait for us to have the next meeting before it gets back to them again before they actually bring us something to look at and vote on. So I would probably ask if when we actually get it to the city council that you do it again for the EDC during their regular meeting, and then probably have a follow-up, at the council meeting. Not if we pre-approve it, that shouldn't be an issue, but as we said, we don't always get along.
I am correct, you quoted us this 2 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay.
EDC's been working on signage for a long time as well.
Yeah,
It's time to get that done.
That's why I was like, I think let's do something.
All right, so what do you need from us? You need a motion for how much?
I don't know how much y'all want them to spend on signage, that's up to y'all, I'm not. putting
I'm not happy
a
for
price on it.
60,000,
Can we
I
turn that
said
off?
that.
Yes, if you're done with
Because I'm
Mary,
like blinded.
I could retouch it over to the.
60,000.
You have to get through that.
60,000.
Well, which sign was the
Sometimes you gotta let
60,000?
those cool down.
It's okay, I
Put
just,
it over full.
That one?
I'll move over. I said over by some man like.
At this point, we're talking about signing up 2 different locations.
Yes, that's a good question.
Like 2, if we do 2, I'd like EDC to do both of them. I mean, we're gonna be asking,
One for the community center, one for City Hall.
Could you do one and mention the community center on one up on the highway? That way you just have to buy one. There's not all that many people drive, well, there's quite a few.
There's 10,000 people live down this road here. That's just before you get to
But they have come down
317.
this road. every day.
Oh, that's a lot.
Well, if you have something at the community center at night, you can't find it.
Yeah, the other part is that the sign here is for a different purpose. I would envision whatever you use here has to have some kind of a scrolling, this is what's going on this week, this is what it costs.
I can see like the one that had the letters, had the,
That one's
that
more
wasn't
static.
full
I don't
color,
really
yeah.
know.
At the community center and one with the color out at the, Lake Palisades Center. The one that had the text at the very bottom across of it that you could change, but it was electronic, you could change it. Because you could put, Jenkins Family Reunion on the bottom of it, or,
Never happened.
no.
I'd like to invite y'all
Okay,
to
Riley.
attend an EDC meeting and give them your input. It's very important for, it's a 7-member team. Several of the people on that board are very good, very good. There's a handful that I'm not even sure why they're on the board. But, and I'll say that to their face. We need business-minded people, business-like people. I think y'all very well qualify for that. You go to the EDC meeting, give them your input on this sign, talk to them. what you like, what you want. You represent the people, you know, so,
How much
I
money
think
is
what
in?
you have to say is
Oh, we haven't
important.
got to the EDC report yet.
We got lots of
Hang on.
You wanna give them a number to shoot for?
High bid 2 years ago, 2 years ago, the quote was 6 quotes. 2 years ago, high bid was 40 grand. And that was, that went nowhere.
Okay, I will make a motion that we approve 60,000 for 2 signs to be decided how much is spent at each location.
I'll second
The,
it.
the EDC will decide
Yeah,
that?
well, and the council will approve those decisions.
Yeah, but it's, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
But they,
they'll have
but we
first
would
say
like
that.
for them to give us a proposal,
Okay.
so.
Okay, we have a motion to appropriate, to give the EDC authority to spend
$60,000.
$60,000 for signage. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. See, it's not so hard to see.
Mayor Dross, can I just make one comment? I would, I know you've seen my face before, and I've been at EDC as well. And I would really participate in the meetings if we knew and there was better publication about when they were. There is no static meeting time as far as I know, and that is
Thank you.
unfortunate.
Thank you.
That is very unfortunate for participation, whether it be in this council meeting or whether it be the EDC. You would have much more participation out of your city if there was a requirement for them to meet.
I will put that on Mr. Weaver. We need to have he's the president of the EDC. I think I agree with that we need to have just like the council does, every month or every 2 months, but it has to be regular. And here's the other thing that I have found issue with. The reason that some of these meetings are getting canceled or not held is because there's not enough board members to make a quorum. Well, if there's not enough board members to make a quorum, get rid of those damn members and get some that will be
Can we not
busy
look
enough
at
to
their,
come, you know?
at their minutes and see who has not been attending on a regular basis?
Well, once the meeting is held, then they have a quorum, of course, so then you can see it.
So you don't
But
have
the
the
reason
minutes?
there hasn't been a meeting for 5 months is because couldn't get everybody together at the same time. Now, we all have to come together and make, you know, our schedules meet this, you know, and every once in a while, one of us can't make it, and that's okay. But we pretty much always have a quorum. Y'all got 7, it takes 4 for you to have a quorum. So, you know, anyway, that's taken into consideration, thank you.
EDC is a government entity,
Yes, sir.
and it operates under open meetings.
Yes, sir.
Does it not have to be announced, or?
Oh, yes, sir, they post same as we do, there's an agenda that's posted 72 hours in advance, it's posted on the window when it's going to be, and it's put on our website of when it's going to be.
Okay.
You just have to look at, right now, you have to look at the website and just see if one shows up. To me, if there was one scheduled, like we do the second Monday of every month, for them to set aside a certain time every month, so that way, all the members can plan their vacation around it or whatever, and then be able to
And make
say,
business
I can
plans.
make it or whatever, so I'll be instructing the EDC to do that. Yes, sir.
Before you jump into your report, can I ask a few questions?
Depends.
Just curious about the game room situation.
Yes.
I'll tell you what I know, Henderson County came in and went into the spin and win, and, what I know is what you read in the
Yeah,
paper. That's
yeah.
really all, I don't know anything anymore than what the paper
Good.
knew. We were not aware that it was going to happen, the city didn't know anything about it.
Does, the Mr. T's, you know, refer to that one with, okay.
The red building?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I spoke to Mr. Rutledge last summer, he assured me when I said, okay, the possibility of Fort could open in this place with that, and he assured me at the time that that gentleman who owned that would never, ever do that. Did
did the Coffee City Fire Department sponsor that sweepstakes?
No,
No.
Sponsor any
I
of
will
it.
tell you something that
Sorry?
happened.
We didn't sponsor any of them.
That, no, they were not sponsored. There was a sign that went up that said something to the contrary, and we had them take that down.
I have that sign up that says Coffee City Fire Department Public Safety Sweepstakes. And then all of the open signs were right there
Yeah.
that I came up to.
That wasn't up very long, though,
And
was
so,
it?
well, no, I don't believe it.
We
was.
had them take it down because that's
Well,
not,
it was a
wasn't
little-
they
true.
put one up in the spin win inside too, and they instantly had to take it down.
Well, I was a little surprised at that, number one. I was a little surprised that Mr. Keys opened up into a sweepstakes because
They
there
were
was
all
some
sweep-
reports that,
They're all
that
sweepstakes.
they were supposed to be, that one was supposed to be like a restaurant or pseudo restaurant, you know. And so when it became a sweepstakes again, I had a gentleman's assurance that there was no way that this would ever be, you know, used as a sweepstakes because he knew this individual and there's no way. So I guess my point is, that, you know, you came through and said you want everybody accountable now. Well, it's on the tape. I mean, it's like, you know, I don't know what that means, but,
You're
you want
saying I
everybody
told you it
accountable,
would not be
so-
a game room?
Yeah, you told me that. You told me that. I got it, so. But it did become one. And now that one is closed by its own volition, as I understand, and some of
Right.
these others. So
Right.
what's gonna happen? I mean, they could all come popping right back up again?
Uh,
And he said, you know, the sheriff said this was a major organized crime organization that Mr. King was running. And so he's the one who came in and suggested to you guys, here's how we do this, $500, you know,
Yeah.
a
And-
game. And boy, we love that money. We could buy all this stuff.
Well,
And
what
I
it
said,
allowed us to do
I
was
guess I'm
hire
right
some more
there,
police.
and
is what
how
it
do we
allowed
go?
us to do.
Excuse me, sir. I was speaking.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Talk
let's,
about
let's,
that.
let's, let's, let's.
So, I guess my question to you is, how do we go forward with this? How are we assured that that doesn't become a nuisance or a problem again and just kind of jump back right up into things? What can we do to maybe help that, assure that? I don't know.
I have to tell you, I don't know either. I really don't. As far as I'm concerned, legally, whether that business is legal or not, I don't know. But legally, we have an ordinance that lets them operate, and we permit their machinery, but we're not, that does not mean we're consenting whether that business is right or wrong.
It doesn't condone that,
No.
knowing that that might be an illegal
No,
setup?
because here's how this came about. They came to us and wanted to build in the city. We didn't have any ordinance or anything that said they could not. It was not presented to us. Sweepstakes were not organized crime. Now, if they're involved in organized crime, that's something that we don't know about, we didn't know about. We understood it to be a sweepstakes, which was apparently okay. So we went to our attorney, we had an ordinance. What we wanted to do was make it as difficult for them as possible to open up. We charged them the highest amount that we thought we could do. We made them have closed windows. We tried to put stipulations on it that made it harder for them to open up. Then when we realized that, oh my God, they're coming from everywhere, we put together an ordinance that said, no more, we're not gonna allow any more. Now, we've got those 3 that are up there, they're still there. I don't know if they own the buildings, rent the buildings, or what, I don't know. But,
So that
you
was kinda
suggest
like
to
the-
me how to keep them from
Well, it's
coming
kind of
back
like the
in.
Band-Aid, you know, on once, you know, we're trying to close the wound and stuff, and,
Right.
I understand that. I'm not
Yes.
trying to throw you under the bus
No,
here.
no,
I'm trying to
I
just
understand.
kind of see what direction we can go and put some effort into that, and go that way, you know.
Okay,
Mr. Cooper?
I was just
Well-
asking her, when you get through, if I can leave, 'cause I gotta get back and close up the store,
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't realize it's gonna take this long.
Yes, sir, we still have a
Sorry.
quorum, so don't
Yeah,
worry,
I'm
feel
sorry
free,
about that,
yeah, feel
but-
free to go ahead, that's,
My help didn't show up, so.
okay, no worries.
Okay,
Okay,
sorry about
Thank you, Terry.
yeah, thank you for.
Well, I have a question.
Well, I think Mr. Rutledge is next on the
Go
list.
for it. Well, all I was gonna say is up front, before they ever came in, when we heard that the first one was coming in, we went to Henderson County and said, we don't want these here. What can we do to stop them? And they basically said, there's nothing at this point we can do, you know?
Excuse me?
Huh?
What he said, there's nothing.
I just,
Well,
got an
and-
echo in the room or something.
And then also, I actually talked to Bodie Hillhouse myself, and he said, Pam, just make it as hard for him as you possibly can. That was his advice to me. So that's why we did the
And
ordinance.
we
Well,
told
I know
every
that
operator, that the county was in charge up front. We had, if they came in and closed them, they were closed. We had no say over it, we had no control over
You
what
know-
they did. We made sure they were aware we didn't want them here. But at that point, we had been told, we even had Lance Gooden, our state rep, come over and go through them and look and see if it was anything he could do. However, the legislature was closed, so there's not a lot there.
Tell me your last name again.
Courts, P-O-R-T-Z, Mike.
Ports.
I'll go magically, oh,
The reason I'm saying this, I wish you would've brought this up in open forum, because we're really trying to, move things along. And this was more, I mean, we
I can come
discussed
next
what's
time
on the
and finish up.
agenda,
Yeah,
but,
I can finish the discussion next time. Next
okay,
meeting.
but feel free to go ahead and speak, we got you on the
No,
roll, so
that's,
let's.
that's fine.
let's go.
I can come next time and get.
Well, and maybe next time we'll have some more information.
Well, now that, I'm not trying to ambush you, I just want some answers, but I don't need someone getting defensive. In
Right,
that
right.
respect,
Right.
in that, but, when you talked about making the people accountable, boy, I've heard that this guy and this guy and this guy didn't, and this guy did, but boy, they shut him down in Smith County, but they threatened us with a lawsuit. And we talked to Bodie, but yet, a year later, here's Bodie kicking everybody's butt. So, how does that work? So, is it gonna be another year then, and we go through this and House of Bill repute, but, nobody really knows it, and it's kind of illegal, but,
Yeah, now you know what kind of problems I'm dealing with.
I
I'm feeling your pain as well,
Yeah.
I know
I've
exactly
been
what
worried
you're
for you,
saying.
turn my hair white.
Look at, I would love any suggestions, anything that would help, I'm not a fan of gang
Yeah, I'll
wars.
come and speak.
So anything that would help us detour them from reopening or whatever, I'm all for it. So help me.
Thank you very much.
I'll be
I'm sorry to
happy
take
to
up your time.
Oh, no.
Now that they've had the arrest and it's gone to court, the next question should be is, well, how long is it gonna take the court to take action on what they've done? And that should be of interest to you. How long is it gonna take the court to handle the problems that they've?
Well, then, how long will they hold them in jail and will they parole? I can't look all that way. So, I can just do one thing at a time here and try to address the
It's gonna be a slow
situation
process.
here as my wife drives through and back and forth and in and out and
Right.
my kids.
Years.
We're thrilled that the traffic's much better. I can actually get off Coffee Landing Road now without waiting 20 minutes.
I think we should make them an offer on the building and us to buy it from them and then open up a restaurant for us. That's what I want you to do.
I got you, but what's to say that another one won't just be erected?
What, another restaurant?
Another-
We're not gonna allow any more, we won't allow any more locations. We've already got an ordinance forbidding any more.
Three, you said, right?
But
Well-
with that specific location,
Those locations are it, that's it.
Perfect.
If there's no more, we will not have another application for another catering.
We can't change the ordinance.
Riley, yes.
My point to you is, if I own a building and you wanna come rent that building, okay, pay me the rent, just like our little shopping center deal up here. What you put in there, I can't control what you do, like, we can't control if they're illegal. If he wants to rent his building, and he can't for a game run, because they have to come to us for that. If he wants to put in a restaurant, we have no say over that. Talk to the owner. We don't own them.
But I'll speak to that point too. There is several people that own buildings and businesses right here in Coffee City that have been approached to to rent or sell or whatever for the purpose. But the owner or the person who rented it asked, what are your intentions for it? We wanna put a game room in, well, then I'm not renting it to you. And Mr. Beard is one of those, I'll say Mr. Clarence Morton is another one, and the old H&R
Well,
Block,
I
they
mean,
won't rent them
if a
out.
man wants to rent them to him for that, we can't stop him.
Yeah.
But we got this ordinance
That
that will
says-
restrict how many there are. That's all we can do.
Thank you very much.
Ms.
Can
Wright,
we,
one
can
more,
we
and then we're
change,
gonna run
yeah,
on.
can we change the ordinance? Can we go back and address the ordinance based on the illegal activity?
Maybe that's a good thought, that's a very good thought.
And say,
Well, we'll look at it next time.
We'll contact our attorney and talk.
Thank you.
Write it down.
Which we've already done, but
Okay, thank you, I really do appreciate those comments, because they help. Okay, mayor's report. The only thing I have, I've got two things. Audit, I was gonna have the audit ready for this month, but it's not. But I think it's about firmed up this week. By Friday, next Monday, we should have something in hand, so it will be ready for the next council meeting. And then we contacted, in the spring and in the fall, we have cleanup weekend. We're gonna have one in April. And Doug, do we know if it's gonna be the 28th or not?
We're 90% sure that it'll be the week, or the Saturday of the 28th.
Yeah, Saturday of the 28th, that's tentatively set for that cleanup weekend, so if y'all wanna kind of prepare for that.
And all of the trash, all the dumpsters will be down at the end of the hill.
Yes, all the dumpsters this year will be at the city. We're not putting one in any community, because that has not worked out well for us. So they're all gonna be up here, and if our citizens can bring their trash and put it in the dumpsters at the city. And now we will have the EDC report.
We started out the month of February with $127,197.76. We, fuel for the small cities class to Jefferson was $15.01. We paid the EDC secretary $350. We paid Cindy for the travel to Jefferson $117.70. Pizza Pro paid rent for January, $900. H&R Block paid February rent, $900. Pizza Pro paid rent for February, $900. We paid the electric on number 2, which this is the last one. It's $131. Number 4 was $76. Our sales tax income was $6,411.55. We paid mowing, Lake Palestine Center, $110. We paid the city for the TML, for the insurance that we owed for $294. The final bill, I'm sorry, this is the final bill for the Lake Palestine Center was $160.74. And number 2's rent was $500, and my bank miles was $26.16, for an ending balance in the general fund of $135,528.70. The month of February for the hotel occupancy tax, we started out with $106, $106,675.22. We brought in from the motor inn, $1,162.24. From the Lake Palestine Resort, $283.29. We paid the webmaster $200. We now have a total of $106,475.22 in the hotel occupancy tax account. Any questions?
that money can't be spent on signs, can it? Any of that?
The hot tax can, the
Yes.
hotel motel tax, signage qualifies for that.
Yes.
And that's why I think that's why the mayor is pushing the sign is we have a lot of funds, and the hotel occupancy tax is specifically very narrowly dedicated towards several purposes. It's called heads and beds. But under the 9 things that qualify for signs, it's called signage.
That's good.
Scott, I contacted Texas Municipal League attorney to confirm that.
Great.
Hey, does anybody have any more questions for the EDC report? All right, thank you for that, I appreciate it. The municipal court report, Ms. Gonzalez? No, there you go.
Okay, the total revenue for the month is $25,239.88. In-house warrant collections, $4,907.16. The fire chief cleared 10. And let's see, new cases filed, 144. Compliance dismissals. After the driver safety course, 39. After the deferred positions, 20. After proof of financial responsibility, 2. And, let's see. Cases in which fine and court costs satisfied by jail credits are 2. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for that report? All right, thank you for that, we appreciate it. We have the police report, it's Officer Sorter, we've been given the police report.
Coffee City Police Report for the month of February. Police Department had 30 call-outs or officer-initiated activities, disturbance, suspicious persons, and also 2 warrants. Issue of 151 citations, 33 warnings, 184 total contacts. Coffee City Police Department has currently 2 full-time officers, 1 part-time, 7 reserves, and 2 recruits.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. Anybody questions for the police department? Thank you, appreciate it. Fire department, please.
I thought it was a good idea we started bringing audio-visual aids into. I know that. 2 building fires.
Yeah, fire us light.
Again. 4 grass fires, 9 mentals, 2 trees, 2 boats, 2 wrecks, 2 unlocked cars. Our big deals coming up are March 31st, gonna be an egg hunt somewhere in Berryville. We haven't decided if it's gonna be at Brother George's new church down by Cotton's Corner, where it's gonna be somewhere down there. April 7th is third-party testing by Texas A&M here, testing the firefighters from all over the area. May 12th is the fly-in at Arrow Estates. May 19th is Mayfest, which we'll be bringing up at the EDC meeting. We're gonna start sending flyers out the 19th, so that's next Monday, I guess, so. And then I will be gone June 21st through the 27th for State Fireman Fire Marshal's meeting. I let that past events on there because the internet really is working well. I think so. And so, the phones, we have a voicemail issue, that's all that I know of, but we've looked at a couple of things. One of them is, at Google, you just send it up there, you know, and when you get back, you can.
I don't know what you're
It'll
talking
send,
about.
basically, if your phone rings and it don't answer, it'll send it to, Google Voice, isn't it, that what it's called? And then, it'll send you an email that you got a voicemail, and when you get back to your workstation, you can, I know there's some transferring problems too, but. Other than that, anybody else got anything?
Okay, thank you, Fire Chief. Need a motion to adjourn, please.
I make a motion we adjourn.
All in favor? Oh, unanimous.